أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We are going to continue with our second video on the abstract of the small surahs with the intention of gaining Jalla Jalaluhu's reward for that. We definitely intend on getting up to the surah where we stopped from Baqarah, which is Surah At-Tur, the surah of the mountain. However, we did want to encourage everyone to have the sincere intention of opening up their hearts and being at peace with and dignity and honor with the knowledge of our Creator, and also have an open mind as the companions. They came with sincere hearts and attentive ears and open minds for the knowledge of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, with the intention again of sticking to it, not selling it out for anything or anyone. And knowing the muharramat, the forbidden, and that in which are prescribed by our Creator. Very important to know these matters and at least have the intention on improving. But beyond that, let's get here started with Surah Al-Masad, also known as Surah Al-Lahab, and after Abi Lahab, the father of the flames, fire. He was an uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, yet he was very abusive of him, as he was calling the people to Allah. Him and his wife were extremely hostile towards the message of Al-Islam. And despite that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, despite his close companionship or his close family ties with the Prophet of Allah, this surah was still revealed, starting off with, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. This surah is a Meccan surah. It was revealed in Mecca. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says he curses Tabbat yada, the hands of Abi Lahab, the father of the flames. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says everything he has, وَتَبَّ مَا أَغْنَى, none of that will avail, anhu, him, مَالُهُ, his wealth does not avail him, وَمَا كَسَبْ, not even his offspring are going to avail him. سَيَصْلَى نَارًا ذَاتَ لَهَبٍ, he will be driven to the flames that Allah Jalla Jalaluhu has created, those flames of fire. He will be driven there. وَامْرَأَتُهُ, and his wife, the one who used to put the thorny bushes in the path of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu says on the day of judgment, حَمَّالَةَ الْحَطَبِ, that she will be driven, and she will undergo that in which will confine her to the fire, in shackles around her neck, في جيدها حبل من مسد, and it will be a shackle of a iron fire. Jalla Jalaluhu prepared for Abi Lahab and his wife such. Now, even after the surah, he lived for another 9 or so years and had every opportunity to undermine the call of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by simply saying, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I bear witness that none is worthy of worship, and now I'm not going to go to hellfire anymore. But he could not even do that. It's proof of how miraculous and divine the Quran is. The next surah is An-Nasr. This surah is a Madani surah. This 3 ayah surahs was actually revealed in al-Madinah. It's a Madani surah. It was the last surah to be revealed in its entirety, and this was giving notice to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that his mission was complete and it would now be time for him to depart. So this starts off with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ, when the aid of Allah, when the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes, wal-fath, in the conquest, وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ, and you will see the people يَدْخُلُونَ, entering, في دين الله, in the religion of Allah, أفواجا, in drones. فَصَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ, therefore be thankful and praise your Lord رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ, and ask for his forgiveness. إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا, he is often most forgiven. This again is a surah letting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam know, as delegation after delegation are coming and swearing oath of allegiance to al-Islam. As you can see, these are large delegations coming openly compared to how it was initially when the Quran was, when Islam was being propagated in Mecca. People were hiding just to practice it. Now people are coming in large, massive numbers. And again, it's a Madani surah. The next surah is Surah Al-Kafirun. And it is for those who reject the surah is a Makki surah. It was revealed on the occasion of the Quraysh chieftains giving the Prophet ﷺ the option to join them and to not insult their gods, so that there will be peace between them, and they would compensate him whatever he wanted, whether it was gold, silver, and what have you. Jalla Jalaluhu revealed this surah to the Prophet ﷺ to let them know that it was not any compromise. And on one occasion they said, just in public, just kiss our God on the forehead and we will worship your God for 1 year, and so on. It's a very complex, but we did cover it, or we will get to it in the legendary stories of the Prophets alayhimu salatu wasalam. So Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, on the occasion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam getting this offer from the chieftains of Mecca, he commanded him, saying, قُلْ, say, يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, O you who have rejected the call, لَا أَعْبُدُوا, I do not worship, مَا تَعْبُدُونَ, which you all worship, وَلَا أَنْتُمْ, and you all do not worship, مَا أَعْبُدُ, what I worship, وَلَا أَنَا, and I عَابِدٌ, I do not worship neither what it is, مَا عَبَدْتُمْ, what it is that you are worship, وَلَا أَنْتُمْ, and you all عَبْدُونَ, do not worship, مَا أَعْبُدُ, what it is that I worship, لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ, you all have your way, وَلِيَ دِينَ, and I have my way. And there are very important comment to make under the circumstances that definitely when we have the ayats of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, realize that they are not alone. There are ayats that are clarifying, substantiating, assisting, abrogating. The various types of the ayats really does require one to become very, very, very familiar with the complements from the other ayahs, which are really important, because nothing explains the Quran better than the Quran. The Quran explains itself, but it requires, there to be commitment, religious commitment, and that in which gives and reinforces religious commitment is also important, which is piety. So we just want to remind ourselves and those who benefited from being reminded to look deeper into the understanding of the Quran. Moving it along now to the next surah, which is Surah Al-Kawthar referring to a gift from Jalla Jalaluhu to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Some claim it to be a river and or a stream in the paradise. Others concur for it to be more of a tranquility status, a higher position, what have you. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu knows best. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Inna, we have, a'tainaka, given you, Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, al-Kawthar, the Kawthar. Fasalli, therefore, worship your Lord, لِرَبِّكَ, wanhar, and also be thankful to him. Inna shani'aka, verily those who are opposing you, wal abtar, are actually the cut off ones. And this surah was revealed on the unfortunate occasion of the passing of his son. I do believe, recall it to be Abdullah, Allah knows best, or was it Ibrahim, one of the others. And the Quraysh, knowing full well that sons are looked upon very honorably, and because they carry on your legacy, they actually made mockery, saying that he was cut off. Jalla Jalaluhu revealed this surah, saying otherwise. Is it a Meccan or a Madanite surah? Many say that it is more of a Meccan surah than a Madani surah. And all surahs were revealed either in Mecca or Al-Madinah. It's very important to know the difference, as well as understanding the various situations, whether Mecca or Al-Madinah. Next, we're going to move on to Surah Al-Ma'un. This is for those whom are, and of course this surah is another one where some indications show that it's a Madani surah, but it's actually a Meccan surah with other indications. This surah is making reference to the least basics which are being deprived of the orphans. In other words, the least that they are in need of is being deprived of them, those who are in need. So this is Jalla Jalaluhu speaking to those who deprive the least fortunate. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Ara'ayta, do you see, alladhi, the one, yukadhibu, who denies bid-deen, they deny the day of judgment. These are the people. فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي, that is يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ, that is those who are also very harsh in denying the orphans. وَلَا يَحُضُّ, neither do they give عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ, the food. They do not give food to the poor. Jalla Jalaluhu says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ, and fire be upon those who are praying. This is very important. Why? الَّذِينَ هُمْ, they are the ones, عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ, they take lightly their prayer, only to be seen, only so that they can be part of the crowd. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ, but it does not do them any good, their prayer, because they deprive of the small basics of people, and such things that anyone would be able to borrow a broom, dustpan from their neighbor. As we know, here in America may be a different story, but of course in our local positions we would borrow and return, or lend and have it returned. But those who reject the hereafter, they have least amount of fear in their hearts about the treatment of others or what others need, and they simply deny food from the poor. They deny the basics from the orphans, and they also generally, as we have today, they show up for prayer, but they're not really trying to do so, or they're not in it for the right reasons. Their hearts are not in the right place, and we ask Allah to be away from that in which is anything similar to it. The next we have Surah Quraysh. It starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim li-ilafi Quraysh. The Quraysh, the Quraysh, the tribe of Mecca, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had protected and made their caravans to and from other areas to be safe just by their name, that these were the caravans of the Quraysh. Back then, a lot of highway robberies and things happening, but if it was known that a caravan was from the Quraysh, then it would be left alone. Jalla Jalaluhu said that is in a favor from him. إِلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. Jalla Jal says that they enjoy their caravans to and from, back and forth in their journeys in the winter, the summer, and all type of situations, or any type of given situation. رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ, meaning again, that is in the various seasons, whichever season your caravans are still safe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, therefore worship Rabb hadha al-bayti, the Lord of the house of the Kaaba. He is the one who makes you safe. He is the one at'amahum. He is the one who provides for you your food when you are hungry. Wa amanahum, and He has kept you safe. He has maintained your safety, min khawf, of fear. Why? Because just by again saying that this caravan belonged to the Quraysh, or it was destined for the Quraysh, or it originated from the Quraysh, that caravan was safe. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu again calls the people to respect and give Him His due as He is entitled to, and to worship Him and Him alone. And we're going to end it here, hoping to move on to the next few surahs. Your humble and respected orator Muhammad Israel, and whatever was correct came from Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Whatever was erred or mistake came from our own, and we ask Him to forgive us for it. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of those listeners around the globe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with you and provide whatever it is that you are most in need of, whether you know it or not. Wassalam.